Hi you guys, Ginger Cook here. We're going to be doing an acrylic winter painting of an acrylic landscape in, well, snowscape, originally done in the 1800s by an American artist, and it's going to be a step-by-step tutorial with some really simple, fast ways to paint a quick winter snow scene. You're going to love it. This is going to just cut the time in half of your painting experience. I'm going to show you some quick tips on how to make a snow scene come together in a flash. See you in a sec.
And the star of our show, Ginger Cook, as she once again mesmerizes her audience with the daring do's and don'ts of painting with acrylic. We're on the table.
Hi. I think a lot of times when you sit down and you look at a painting, you're going to sit there and say, wow, this looks hard. I'm going to break this acrylic painting down for you in such a way that I think you're going to be genuinely pleased about how easy it is to do. We're going to do it 8 by 10. I just have a little bit of just any old gray background would have been fine. John was using some leftover paints, came up with this, but just any old light gray background or light blue background, doesn't really matter. Little 8 by 10 canvas, all right? And we're going to be, this originally was done in the late 1800s by a man named Metcalf. And Mr. Metcalf, if I said I'd tell you about him, WILARD. And he was a big deal. Did you know that in the early 1900s, one of his paintings sold for $13,000, which is the highest amount of money any American artist had ever got for a painting? He was a big deal. Funny we haven't mentioned him before. He was a landscape artist for the most part, and he loved to travel. He's a man after my own heart because John and I are traveling as you're seeing this. So if you're joining our premiere, we're chatting right along with you. We thank you guys for coming to our premiere. You'll notice I'm just taking this.
Just look like that famous 2-line grid.
We're going to do a 2-line grid on this so we make sure we get the placement right. I folded the canvas in half. I'm going to just... we've got some leftover paint. I've been painting earlier today, and I didn't want to throw all that out. So I think the palette's fresh enough where you guys can appreciate the fact waste not, want not kind of thing. So like I say, we're going to just do a fast grid on this. This is probably halfway right here. I'm going to just do something like this. My T-square. And I think this is about halfway. I'm not even going to measure it. I'm pretty sure that's about halfway.
Again, it's a landscape. You got some
landscape, right?
You got some leeway.
So what do we know in this quadrant here? We've got some snow coming down this bank right here, and here's the on the other side too, like this, kind of a little hill like this. Okay, and then from this corner, you think of this is our halfway point. From this corner, we've got a little path. Man, this is not showing up at all. That's just annoying.
What, the white?
The white here. All right, here's a little path coming across the center line and comes back like this, like that. There's our path. And then we've got following along that center line right about to here is where our trees stop. And we've got some trees up here in this corner. I mean, it's pretty simple, you guys. I mean, there's just not a lot to this. I just, sometimes you're just in a mood, you want to paint, but you just don't want to fool around with hours and hours of painting something. And I'm going to show you a fast, easy way to paint this. We're going to start with a large angle brush. First thing we're going to do is take some white paint and a tiny bit of ultramarine blue, and we're going to make the background color. And a little bit of phthalo blue, kind of a half and half, and then a white, okay? So mostly white, like 99% white, with this phthalo blue and ultramarine blue. Let's make it a little bit darker. There we go. Ooh, too dark. More white, like that. And we're going to just come up here like this and say, here's our blue sky. Now, imagine the sky was beautiful and blue in New Hampshire in its time. This side is a little bit darker, so it's a little more ultramarine here, like that. We're going to come down over the landscape and little 8 by 10 canvas, a little more white paint as we go down. And so there's our blue sky. And there's just not, I just promise you, there's just not a lot to that. And his snow, you'll notice, is more purple and white as opposed to blue. Is that the blue is in our is in our sky. But the landscape, if you can see that, is more purple and white, all right? And he was famous for his snow scenes. And of course, he lived in an area, he said he loved to travel. He was went to Cuba and painted for a while. Traveled the world. He was in France. He's the first artist ever to go to Giverny, which was where Monet was. I mean, and, you know, he was a very interesting artist. Now, there's a little bush back here, which we can put in right now. A little bit of brown paint and a little bit of blue.
Now, brown, that's your burnt umber?
That's your burnt umber. And a little bit of blue, a little bit of white here. And a little bit more of the ultramarine blue here. I'm going to just tap in this little bush right here. Just barely see it. I want a little more white on the brush because that's a little bit dark.
Looks like you're using your 5/8 inch.
I am. I'm using the 5/8, John, and what I'm doing is I'm just kind of doing this at an angle while it's still wet. I'm just sort of
notice how she's using the angle brush and just using the tip of it a lot of the time to get laid in, and then starts coming back and putting the...
Yeah, there's just some little bush here that's growing here, like that, and it's just sort of, it's melted into this background. And here's a little zinc white over here. And I'm going to just tap that onto it, like that. There we go. I'm just going to say that there's this little bush back here. And as we go down, I think that maybe we're suggesting there might be something here, but there you go. There's our little bush. And I like we have a little magenta out too. They're standard colors. I'm going to mix a little magenta and blue and white because there's definitely a little feeling of purple in here. There, I'm going to just tap that in there too. A little feeling of purple. And there's all that is that little tiny bush. We don't need it that light, like that. And then up here there's a green bush, but for the most part this is white. So let's take our white paint and we're just going to, and we've got a little bit of a light blue in it, and we're just going to come like that. And I want you to think about directions of brushes. Your brush direction, so don't go straight up and down. This is all swirling at an angle like this, and you'll notice that he did this very large. It was just absolutely huge, and a lot of little tiny brush strokes, but you can get the same effect or very similar effect, and you don't have to do that. That's what I wanted to show you. This stuff is all coming this way from our snow, just because it's a hill. So we're saying it's a hill. And then when he got up here a little bit, and it's a little more of this blue color, he put a little bit of yellow oxide in the paint, just the tiniest little bit. Warmed that up a bit, just a teeny bit. Okay? And he came up here and he said, well, that's way too much. So wipe the brush off. Don't rinse it. Just wipe it off. Go back to your white and do it this way, and that'll be about the right amount. See, right where the halfway point is where this lighter snow was coming down this way. Kind of, this was the lightest point right here, okay? And then up here you had some light snow up on this ridge, okay? Like that. This was this lighter kind of gold snow, okay? And it's kind of coming back here. Now, where the halfway point is again, where that halfway line is, he's got some coming down this way. Now you'll notice the direction of the snow has changed. So this is it's still warm, it's still a warm snow, but it's coming down this way. And if you just watch your brush direction, that's probably what I would tell you the most. Watch the brush direction. And I know everybody's been real busy for the holidays. I'm putting a little blue in here like that. And I'm going to just, and when I come to this point, I'm going to just get a little bit of magenta and ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to come up here like this and just magenta and ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to come this way and suggest this path. So that's magenta, ultramarine blue, and white. Does everybody kind of get me on that? And it's not very dark, it's very pale. A little bit of blue here and more white. There we go. Something like about like this. This is my path color. I'm going to come down here like this, and it makes the curve up here, makes this curve, and it kind of comes up this way. There's a little bit of this purple color up this way, and a little bit of this magenta color. Now this is really interesting. Everything went a little bit pink on us when we got up this way. So how do you blend all that in? Now this is where it gets interesting, because this pile, ooh, my gosh, look at that. All that, just get rid of that. Okay, so all of this up here was sort of a blue color.
It's going to be blue now.
Well, it still was blue. It was up here, it was all a blue color, okay? And kind of came in here like that, and then just softened up like this, right? Just kind of soften this while it's still wet, right? Now, already I've got a snow scene. Now I'm going to rinse the brush, okay, wipe it off, start in the white area, and just sort of smudge this out so that it's, so there's no hard lines. You see what I'm doing? Just kind of smudging this out here like that. So sometimes you'll make something a little darker than you need to in order to be able to blend it. See how that's blending? And I'm pretty happy with how this is blending. Here's a little bit more of our ultramarine blue. That's kind of a dark, there's like a line up here, like a gully where there was like a shadow and some trees. And then on this part right up here, we're just doing something like that with the angle brush like that. Ooh, fun, right? Can you see what we're doing here? Like that? Little tiny brush strokes. This is, a painting like this is really fun because you've got a little magenta, you've got a little of this peach color. Here's a little bit of magenta and zinc white. Find a new place to mix that. So this is up in here like this, coming this way.
Oh,
All right, so this is all with an angle. It's almost abstract. Do you see that? Do you see how it's almost an abstract? Now put some of that color here on this. Come over here with a little bit of zinc white. Let's say I've got a little bit of this color coming this way. On here, it's a little bit pinker than this. Is more of the purple blues. That's the darker blue, and then I've got the darkest line. Now my canvas is one of these boards, and so it's drying up really quick. Otherwise it would stay wet longer, trust me, but I'm gonna say that
which is
there's
really
a darker.
interesting. These are boards that we got on a store was moving, and they didn't want to move a lot of products, so they had
Yeah,
a
it's the
super
Frederick's
sale.
paint boards, and they were generally first very expensive, and no one wanted to pay that much, so then they put them on sale for $3, so we bought some. But they're, but that will say what the experience I'm getting from these is that they dry quickly.
It's a very smooth surface.
It's very smooth. If I do something like this, I'm just trying to blur out some colors here. Do you see that? And just have everything very soft and out of focus, because that's all I'm going for here. And if I came back up here to my white and gold color, kind of my off-white. The lightest white I've got is right up in here, and that's too
warm.
Too warm. So let's grab a little bit more white paint here. There you go. And I'm just going to come down here like this at an angle with the brush, right? Do you see that? See how I'm doing that? And then the trick is, now this is the thing, we're going to come this way with that color, just a little bit of these angles. Just keep your brush kind of like this, okay? And I think that right in here where it makes the curve, there was a bit of light. And I haven't dried this yet, but I think I'm okay.
Short little strokes.
Just little short strokes. And this is the edge right here of this path where it's light here. Do you see that? There's a little edge here, and there's this light path right coming up like this. So again, this is where layering comes in. You'll see me layer stuff all the time, a little bit more white paint. So this is the lighter blue color on here, and this is our next layer of snow going this way. All right, so I love all the colors that he put in his. I think we can do that too, and do it pretty reasonably too. Here's a little bit of the magenta, and I'm going to just come in here like this and add a little bit, because you know me, it's hard not to play with all the colors. And up here there were some, this is where the shadows of the trees were, and then and like this. This is all up here. There's some bushes, okay? And what happened up here was, let me go back to the painting now. I'm looking it off the paper, but I do much better when I have the, when I do much better from the photograph
On your
blowing
iPad.
it on my iPad than I do from just looking at a piece of paper like this. I can see much better what everything is.
And you can zoom in.
And I can zoom in and just say, okay, so that's what I'm looking at. Because otherwise I have no idea what I'm looking at. He did this giant painting, huge, like 30 by 40. This is very small. But I think we can, again, we can get the essence of his picture, okay? So I'm just taking a little water on the brush and sort of blending this out a little more. Like that. Just wake it up a little bit with some water. And then up in this area here, he had the shadow. There's some trees up here, so a little bit of ultramarine blue. And you have to be careful with water because you can start erasing. Did you guys know that? You end up thinking you're doing water and then you end up erasing. You get that brush too wet, you're erasing the paint underneath. See? So you guys can kind of see what we're doing right here. And
it's kind of a neat painting just like that.
I mean, it's kind of neat. It kind of has an abstract quality to it, okay? And remember, I told you we made the curve here. I don't want to do much of anything else before I put in these trees, but I know that, for instance, we've got a little shadow right here coming in here. And then what he did was he broke up this white with, like, back up in here. He broke this up a bit. Came in here and just broke some of that up. And then it just keep layering it down like this. See what I'm doing? See how we're doing all these great layers? And
all quick little brush strokes.
all the brush strokes. And listen, you guys, it's the angle, it's the direction, it's the direction. These are all going this way. And this was like up on this area here. This came up here, and this here's a little bit of zinc white and ultramarine blue. This was like a little bit lighter up here. So this, and then this kind of came up this way. So we know that was here, and just like that. I think it's kind of cool, right? And I mean, that's probably the main layout of the picture. All right, except for where all the, you know, what we're talking about here, we've got, like there's a little pine tree here, so he did a little bit of blue right here, okay, because there's this little pine tree. And it's just a little bit of blue in here like this. This is all just not one color, and then there's a little bit of just shadows over here, and he did like a little thin shadow right here like that. It just suggested there were some shadows all this way. And then back up this way too, because these trees, there's this row of trees going here, and he's doing this. And it's going up like this, and we're saying these are the shadows for our trees, and I'll use some zinc white for these because I want these to be a little bit more opaque. Now, they're not just straight. There's a curve here. This one is a curve and then does something like this to a tree, but this kind of up here is a curve. So pay attention to that kind of stuff. Whenever you're doing shadows for things, they've got to follow the curve of the land. So I hope that there's some questions that have come in this week, John. Anything I can answer that's come in by mail that maybe we can answer ahead of time?
Well, a couple of things that keep coming up is the brushes you use, you seem to always be going with a certain type and shape.
Yeah, for the small paintings, John, about 90% of my brushes are the angle brushes, and these are the ruby satin silvers, and I really like them. If you want, people that buy them just absolutely know that they're the best. They just allow you to paint so much easier. I guess you're not, you know, when you're not fighting the brush, and then you're just trying to decide where to put the paint. And I would say that would be the best explanation of why you might want a brush like this, okay?
Well, we've seen you on this particular painting alone. You've done a broad stroke and you've done a very thin line, all with the same brush.
Yeah, and I'm going to go over this. I had some yellow in here because I used a yellow chalk, which probably wasn't clever, but I did. So, you know, I want a little purple in here with a little ultramarine blue. There, there we go. Let's just cover this up here like that. But again, this is a little bit wider here. It goes down into the corner right here. Where's my color here? It goes down into the corner and, you know, like I say, makes this curve. Now, you can kind of see what we've got, okay? So I've rinsed the brush now and gone into the lighter gold paint. Now I want to come down for this curve, and this is my titanium now, and I want to come down here and make sure that this is not too even. It's coming this way. I want it lighter here, and then what did we say? We want it kind of lighten off the top here, and then come down like that. We want it light up here. Said we want it light here, coming into there. And we can come back and lighten something up. But pretty much, we've got a snow scene, don't you think?
I think you got a great snow scene.
And he had some clouds in his, or those were the bushes. You know, it's hard to say what those were.
I'll look on my computer and see if I can tell what that is.
I can't tell if those were some bushes back there or this was the clouds. I think probably what I would prefer is
it's clouds.
It's a little zinc white.
Because he had clouds in the upper left too. They're little pinky clouds.
I'm just going to lighten up this like this. I think the clouds are a bit much. I don't like his clouds, so I'm not doing them. But
now, that's more of a winter sky. What you're giving there, the wispy.
Yeah, I'm going to just do a little bit of zinc white here on the edge here, and
wisp it around a little bit.
Yeah, and I think this is dry enough where I can paint over that bush a little bit. Push that back. That bush had a little pink in it though too, didn't it? No, that's too much. Let me just play with that for a minute. The bush has got to be there, then kind of not be there, and you know what I mean. It's there, but it's not there. There, it's got a little pink cast to it, but let's just play with the zinc white. I'm not happy with the sky yet. I think it's too turquoise. It needs to be more ultramarine blue. Here, the one thing that you can do with a little zinc white here, so we're just gonna, there we go. I like these kind of clouds better. Then take this turquoise sky and more white here, and then kind of break these up like this. To me, I think that's kind of better. So there we go. Oh, it's better, but I like it. To me, that works more. You know, because it's always lighter down toward the horizon. There you go, something like that. So, all right, that works better for my vision of this painting. How's that?
I like it.
That's my vision of the painting. Now, there's really not a lot more to do. We just have to put some bushes in these trees. So how about that? Let's take a minute and try it.
All right, after this important message from Miss Ginger, we'll be right back.
Hi, Ginger Cook here, and this is the time of year when John and I look back and want to really be thankful for all the blessings in our lives. And I want to just take this time to thank our moderators who not only moderate our YouTube channel so that you guys can watch wonderful live shows, but they're the ones that are in charge of our Facebook club, the Ginger Cook Acrylic Painting Club. And I'll tell you what, they're the ones that put the paintings up, put your pictures in albums, are messaging you all the time. Tirelessly, somebody is on board helping our club members and John and I 24 hours a day, literally, because like Mona, for instance, lives in Sweden, so she's over there at a different time of day. Judy is kind of a night owl, and she's Judy Guitar, and she's up at night, sorting and working on our Facebook club. Everyone seems to show up for our live YouTube shows, which is fantastic. Lou Ann and Elizabeth Clark and Steffi Jane and Tonya and Becky, they're all these dedicated, selfless volunteers that make this possible. So John and I really would encourage everybody to just, after the video airs today, just to take a moment, write a note on my comments thing, and just say, give a shout out to these gals. I want to do it too. We love you. We thank you. We couldn't do it without you. And well, everybody has a happy holiday. And again, we're so grateful and so appreciative of everything you do. And it's been, and you make our lives so much easier, and you're a blessing to us, and we love you guys, and thank you so much. Okay, so in his original, he had more sky than I can give us on this little 8x10, but that's all right. If you wanted to look up his original and do his, winter in
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, you could, but this is basically how you'd paint it if you wanted to do a little bit more sky. We're going to start with the dark green. We're going to take some phthalo green and some ultramarine blue and a little tiny bit of purple. And I want a dark, that's my darkest green. And what we're going to say is that here's the top of this. We're going to do sideways, we're going to do a sideways bush. They're just going to go sideways with this. Say that down here, there's the small bushes back here. They're growing up on this hill. And there's another one right here in the corner. And there, it's pretty much how these were painted. It was interesting. This is all about brushstrokes. Let's get a little more green in there. All about brushstrokes, and everything was sideways. There might have even been 3 here. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure what he had painted here, but there's it was all about the brushstrokes being sideways. Now this is different. I like looking at these old dead artists because they had different ways of painting things that maybe you and I would think about, and different ways of indicating what something was. So he's saying that there's these bushes up in here, and I mean there's like this little cluster of bushes that's up here. Came down here like this on the slope, like that. Let's get a little bit more green and yellow and green here. So let's get some green on there now. Okay. It's interesting painting on these boards. I'd never buy any of these again. I just don't like how they absorb the paint so fast. Talk about drawing time. If you lived in Arizona, you'd never get anything painted. All right, so this is a little bit lighter green on top. He's got the light kind of coming from the right on this. So we've got, and this is still a little bit wet, so here we go. This is this lighter green. Let's put a little bit of white with that. A little bit of phthalo blue. All right, so as we come over here, we're saying that back in this side here is the lighter green. And because these are all little brush strokes, there's actually some light little stuff in them. So we're saying that this tree here almost looks like, I used to do a machine embroidery for Cinnamon when she was little, and on her clothes, and this kind of reminds me of the way the sewing machine needle would keep zigzagging stuff. Okay, so we're just going to say, I think these are kind of a cusp of trees, would be what I would call it, okay? Cusp of winter trees, but we don't need to say a lot about them. They're over here like this, and I think that that's up here like that. And I like this little bit of white and blue in here. There we go. So I think that's probably all we're going to talk about, those trees. And we've got another little pine tree just sticking off the edge of this canvas over here like this. He's barely here like that, but it's the same idea. But he's a little bit more of a wispy pine tree, like that. So there's this one like that. Little, kind of goes up about this tall. So he felt like he needed to put him in, but not enough of him. I don't know. He's there as like a little stop. Okay.
He's stopping from leaving the picture.
Yeah, and then we've got another little pine tree, and it's more in the blue greens. Okay. Back here, and we're barely talking about him. He's just up here like this.
It looks like he's going to get mainly covered up by that tree.
Yeah, he kind of disappears, but
he's there.
Here. He's there.
He's supporting.
Yeah, supporting. We'll see a little bit more green. Kind of this blue-green color. He's supporting this a tiny tree right here. And we're just going to bring him up a little bit higher. He gets to be a little bigger. We'll give him a little bit of growth. Not much. All right, again, these little sideways brush strokes to make this tree. Okay? So then you're saying, okay, so there's that tree. And then there's these bushes here. This is where the dagger brush, we talked about this dagger brush before. This is where this dagger brush is going to come in so staggeringly handy. And I want to use probably some of my flow paints. I think I for sure want a flow white. I can't remember where that went.
It's up in the front there. Can you get it?
Yeah, here it is. I want to. This is the Golden's Fluid Titanium White, and I definitely want some of this color.
You had the Van Dyke over there next in the front there.
Yeah.
If you wanted that.
And I have a Van Dyke brown too, which is not. There's nothing that dark there, so let's just put that right here. Some flow, and I want to mix that with us just a little bit of yellow oxide in this, just a little bit. Well, here, that brush got dirty. All right, so that's kind of the color I want, this sort of yellow oxide color. And I want to just take my, here, okay, I'm going to just take, now look, just keep it very simple. These are kind of an off-white. They're not even a brown. They're just very light little trees. They've got a little magenta in them too. There's a little tiny bit of magenta in some of these. So we'll add a little bit of that color with a couple trees. Some sort of little bushes that are growing here like that. And then as we keep a little bit more magenta colors, we keep coming this way. And then in this area here, he's just saying that this is a gully with some different trees coming up this way, like that. Maybe some a little bit of yellow oxide, a little bit of white. In this dark area here, like that. Let's get it a little bit golder. Okay. Because I'm trying, we're keeping it simple. Try not to get it too complicated. But we're saying that there's this. And then back in here, there's some purple ones. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the purple, the darker paint, and just come up here like that. Just do a few almost like X's. Just suggest, look here, this is just all about brush direction. And kind of break those up a bit and say that whatever's growing here is coming along here like that, and it's just in this gully. There's a little bit of dark flecks in there. I mean, it's interesting to me. It's an interesting way to paint. It's kind of different than what I think of as when I'm thinking of painting something. It's a little bit different, but that's all right. Not wrong, not right, just a little different. And here's a little bit of brown and white, burnt umber and white. And I'm not sure if, well, let's put a little ultramarine blue with that. There we go. A little bit of white, kind of loosen it up. Makes it sort of a gray. I guess there were some gray trees in here too, like that. All right, so that's that. Now, taking the flow, we're going to take like a raw umber flow and do the big ones, okay? So we'll paint those in, and then we'll just, I think you're going to be surprised how quickly this goes. Don't you think, John?
I think so. I think it's coming along nicely. I like the snow, how the snow came out.
Yeah, isn't that pretty? The snow came out interestingly just from brush direction, kind of smudging. All right, so now
It almost looks like a watercolor.
He was more of a watercolor artist than an oil painter, though this had been an oil painting. So I know that, for instance, I'm going to put a little white and raw umber together and mix those two together because I want kind of a light tan color. Put a little bit of magenta in it. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to start here. Just kind of shape the brush. I want to end it here, and it's going to end in this corner here, okay? So, but I need to know where it's ending. It's actually ending over here. So this tree, the harder I push, the fatter the line. It comes over like this, okay? That's that tree, and that's where these dagger brushes are splendid for that, right? And then I'm going to go over those a little bit. With this paint, this little raw umber paint. He had a little purple in his. He was a big on color, huh? A little bit of purple, raw umber.
Not much different than you.
Yeah, well, I like his work. There could be a reason why I like it, do you think? Could be a reason why. There you go, like that. See, got a tree, all right? So then the next tree is up here. Well, it's
This is the one that's going through the pine tree.
It's going through the pine tree. Mine's going a little bit differently than his because I want it about here. So it's gonna come up this way. Let's get a little more white in it. It's gonna come up this way, come out, and then back like that. All right, and then it's got a darker edge to this. Okay, and then this one is, it's got a nice little trunk here in the ground, and then it kind of bows, goes up, not too far, goes up kind of up this way, and just kind of stops there. Okay, and then now we get into the more of the brown trees. You've got another tree coming on this right here, comes up a little further like this and wise. It comes this way and then goes up into these branches. And then it gets into the gold colors more as they go up. They're darker at the base, but as the colors go up, they get lighter, okay? So then they start forking this way. And, okay. And again, it's kind of curves. If you've got to appreciate it, you've got this sort of curve, and it's curving down here at the base like this. And then there's another one right next to it that's coming up this way. And again, it's interesting as it gets toward the top, it gets more gold, but it's just coming up like this. There's this little crooked tree. These are the fun part, these little trees like this that do that, okay? One of the things about when you'll see the difference when we do a premiere, John and I are chatting and answering questions, and I know some of you are going to want to come back and work on this when you are not playing with the chat.
It's kind of hard to chat and paint at the same time.
Yeah, you can't really do that, but I think the chat is what makes it sort of fun.
And we like to thank the moderators for being there, having our backs all the time that they do.
Yeah, because there wouldn't, these live shows wouldn't be as efficient or as fun to watch
They just
or
wouldn't even
anything
happen.
as if we didn't have them, all right?
Once in a while we get the trolls in there that just cause problems.
But you see how the along the path is where the
row of trees are.
The row of trees are, and then obviously there's some back here too. It's just there's some darker trees back here. They've just got the fluid raw umber, and there are some branches that are coming up like this, and you've just got to find the main ones And every once in a while, rinse that dagger brush out because your paint's drying in it too, okay? So I want to take a little bit of magenta and purple, or maybe ultramarine blue probably, and magenta and white, and a little bit of the brown color in it. There we go. And I want this to be a little bit darker along here like this. I want this tree trunk right here to be darker. So certain parts of this are darker. All right. So this tree right here really bugs me all by itself. I got to tell you, that just bugs me. It's in his picture, but I don't like it. So we're going to take some mixing white and go over it.
Try to tone it down some.
Oh yeah.
It's just screaming, I'm here, I'm here.
Yeah. There. So that toned that one down a little bit, didn't it? But it can't just be there. The problem with people, they go out and paint, and this was what was there, so they don't think about a design. Well, it was there, so I'm stuck with that. You're not, right? I promise you, if this is here, maybe we need one coming up like this, and pulling another tree limb this way, and I just feel like we needed something else up in here to kind of make this one work. He did a little bit of that when he put some light gold branches on it, but that doesn't cut it, friend. Just sorry. All right, now that's where all these little branches are. And now we've got a bunch of these gold branches, and I think I've got some gold fluid, gold paint. I'm going to use that because as long as I'm doing it, I'm going to do it like that. But this is pretty, isn't it? I mean, I think we really have captured it.
Yes, it is.
What we need is some.
Now, what kind of paint is that you've got there?
This is just yellow oxide in the flow.
Oh, okay.
And I want a little bit of white with that. And I just wanted a little bit lighter here like that because he's got, what he did was he's got all these little branches coming up like this in this painting, like this. And this is why, again, what a dagger brush is absolutely excellent for. Make sure all this is dry before you do it. But there's all these little, almost like little leaves almost that are up here like this, or this whole area is in the golds on this right side. And the same thing with this tree here. See? So it gets sort of this winter wonderland too, and there's a lot of gold next to this tree that's coming up this way. So we're just saying that this is, they almost remind, well, I don't know what kind of trees they are, but they're obviously lose their leaves in the winter. But the most of it is, let's see, a little bit of yellow oxide in here is the most of it. There's a lot of this little gold stuff down in here. It gets kind of busy. And you want to make sure these little brush strokes are going all the way off the top of the canvas, at least on this side. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to finish it up.
All right, after these important messages, we'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Ginger Cook, and if you've ever wanted to really master acrylic painting, the key to that is learning basic brushstrokes and blending techniques. And John Little and I have put together a series of comprehensive, easy to understand, short videos on how to master these brushstrokes so that you can later go on and tackle the larger paintings. in this. How about making things look three-dimensional and round and blending? That is a must skill to be able to come along later and do a painting like this. And because so many different backgrounds are a combination, and art paintings, even this table is done in the same technique as the background. So I think you're going to enjoy this series. And if you do, feel free to check us out on gingercooklive.gallery on our website for additional videos.
And we're back.
Okay, so I'm looking at his, and it's he's got like a little darker side over here. He also has a little bit of magenta in the snow up. That's the zinc white. Okay. He's got then you put a little tiny bit of yellow oxide with it to make it a little bit more rosy peach color. So back up in here where this white snow is, he's got a little bit of this magenta peach color, and then it's sort of in here like this a bit too. And
yeah, you certainly don't want to do that when it's wet.
No, just see what I'm gonna get a little bit more of this color here, and it's almost like this is part of the bushes, coming out like this, coming over this like this. Let's put a little bit more of the gold and the peach, and more of the zinc white. It's very light here when you're doing this, all right? And so what we've done here is we're saying that there's just this color in these leaves. It's kind of interesting. Just an interesting way to paint something. I love looking at and studying how somebody else may have tackled a situation of a painting, how they interpret what something is. Because you see, we've got, you see, just by filling that in a little bit, and then maybe getting a little bit darker in the purple and the ultramarine blue and magenta, there's some dark spots in the middle here, and right in this area here, okay, it's a bit darker, where we're saying that there's this is our dark shadow side here, up here like that. So that's saying that's in shadow, this is in shadow here, and then these branches are coming up. Here's our gold going through it. And all this is coming up this way like that. All right, so then to kind of finish this off, you know, we put that little bit of pink, then you've got to have some branches going off into it like this. Like that. This has got to be something that's going off into it like this and like that. Okay.
So we had an email come in the other day. They'd been watching some of our other videos on YouTube, and we kept using the word pack. What is a pack? They said, what is a pack? They spelled it P-A-C-K, thinking that we were packaging up something.
Well, PAC is the short for personal art coaching. And we have an Academy of Fine Art and Acrylic Painting.
GingerCookLive.gallery.
And besides doing what we do weekly on YouTube, we have these amazing paintings that we, from very beginner, never saw a paintbrush in your life, to a box of cookies, or you know, ultimate painting lesson. For instance, and we understand that we're doing a lot of winter series right now, but not everything we have for the whole month of December is winter. Right, so this is a painting that's coming up. It's an old French farmhouse and road. I've done a lot with a palette knife, and this is another good one from one of our old dead artists, and that's in the Academy.
And now you may hear the term ODG. We use that term quite a lot. That's referring to the artists that came before us.
We'd like to, you know, that's a different style than Metcalf, but again, it's an interesting style. Maybe that's your style. We don't know. We're going to just present you with lots of different ways to learn to paint something and mix the colors and layers. So that's an Academy lesson coming up. One of my favorites, if you'll back out, John, is this one. Landseer was it's probably my favorite animal artist from the 1800s.
Oh yeah, he could do dogs.
And this is the
look at that.
Expectations. And I love that with the 2 dogs and the barn house. I'm going to show you really, this is an academy lesson, a really neat technique on
Here,
how
let
to
me
get
zoom in
this
on that.
wood grain.
Just hold there for a second. Let me show them
Yeah.
the wood texture. She used modeling paste to create that, and that looks like real wood. I mean, look at that.
Isn't that lovely? And that's we've done Tricks the painting dog, and the other one is Trouble, and this is his bloodhound and faithful friend that are looking for dinner. I think that's what they look like to me, is they're looking for dinner. And I think this is adorable. And again, this is 16 by 20 canvas, and probably one of our ultimate lessons, but they're not all that difficult. Some of them are much easier than others. This is something I think you guys might really, it's a great reason to give yourself an academy membership for the holidays. If you do an annual membership, you save
It's like getting 2 months
couple of
free.
months, and it's under $40 a month anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
With
it's great,
personal art
and it comes
coaching?
personal art coaching where you send me the artwork that you're doing, and I make suggestions and send it back, and it's absolutely fabulous for that. And the last thing I'm going to show you where this dries is this was our holiday presentation, which was a church that John and I actually took photos of in Canada when we were in Halifax up in the countryside. And their lakes freeze over, and this was an academy, a lesson more in the style of, say, Thomas Kincaid or somebody like that. And I thought people might really enjoy painting this for the holidays. Again, fabulous tutorial, step by step, and personal art coaching. So if something looks difficult, you've got help. So those are just some ideas of what you might want to paint. We're going to keep going here and just play with this one. I wanted, you'll notice that, like on his, you see with the I guess there's a shadow here that's going down to this tree.
Well, apparently, yeah, his looks like it's down in the gully where you put yours out of it.
Yeah, I put mine out of it. So I'll move the shadow. I'll just move the shadow. That's easy to do, right?
Absolutely.
I'll just move the shadow, make a little bit of ultramarine blue and magenta and white would probably be my colors to do that with for my shadow colors. Ultramarine blue, magenta, and white. Okay, so kind of finding the color. Don't want it too dark here. So I want a shadow coming from here. Let's see, I want more blue in there than that. Less, there we go. I want a shadow coming this way, up here like that, to this one. Okay.
Again, follow the contour of the hill.
Yeah, that's really important. Don't make them straight. All right, and then we've got another one coming here. And then we're going to say that we've got one coming this way, up this way, maybe just there like that, something like that. There was something over here. A little bit of zinc white is a little bit more transparent white. We've got a few back here, and I want to make sure we've made the current curve here in our shadows, where we've made the bend in our trail. Okay, and it's coming down like this out of the, and then we've got a lot of deep shadows over here where the brush is, like coming up here into the brush. These are all the little leaves and stuff that are coming here like that, which is, I think, kind of neat. Maybe some of these shadow colors in here, back up in here, back up in here. All right, so, and then if you've got too many, what you can do is just take some white, put them back, right? So I know John thought this might take a long time to do, and it's not. I think we haven't been at it too long, have we, John?
No, only an hour. I'm really surprised at how quickly it's come together.
Yeah, no, there was too much water on that brush because it had been sitting in water. Do you see what happened to there? So I need a light color right here to break this pine tree up. Back up in here like this. There you go. See, this had to be. And let's see, I just need some white here that's kind of, everything kind of dried up here, but I need a little white right there. Just something back here. Okay. And so this is what the critical part is, where this white is right here. When I say critical, is put a little bit of yellow oxide with it. Come over here like that, just a touch, so that it's just a slightly warmer snow. Right in here where the path makes the curve is where you want it lighter, next to these trees. I painted this tree out, I'll just put him back, it's easier. And I want something light right next to this tree, like that. Okay, so I want to show that this actually made the curve here, and I'm going to just bring this paint down like this over here like this, so it's kind of narrow out my path a bit this way. Again, that had a little bit of the yellow in it, just where the sun hit it, right? And the sun back here, this is the lightest part. If you will pay attention to where the light is on this painting, where the lightest snow is. Do you see what's happening? In fact, that white's kind of gotten all dirty. So I'm going to put out a little bit more clean white. That pile there I can't do much with. I think I got 2 paintings out of it, though. That's not bad. And now I want to say that there's some light that's coming down in here, like this. This way. Okay. So now we're turning on and off the lights. That's what we tell you all to do, is turn on and off the lights. Put the shadows in there. And then turn off the lights or turn them on. Yeah? Same thing here. These are little tiny, where's that little bit of yellow oxide with the white? These are little tiny bits of, it's too much, of snow here. And it's little tiny brush strokes, right? So you're coming along here. You're not painting it all the way through, because you had that kind of blue color that's underneath, right? And so you're saying this is lighter here. And there's a little bit of the pink snow back over in here, a little bit here. There's a little bit of pink color to it. I love looking at the colors because I can see them in here, and that's what makes a simple picture like this. It really is very simple, but when you start adding these little bits of color, it's really kind of nice. So again, you're seeing these trees stand up. Whoops, stand out. Why? Because we put these light highlights. And I mean, if you snow sparkles when the light hits it, doesn't it, John?
Oh, absolutely. It's very bright. It can be very glary. And it looks like this is a pretty clear day when he painted this.
Yeah, kind of like snow blindness, right?
Yep.
So
it makes me sneeze.
It was, and he had a little bit of snow on this pine tree too. Just a little bit of snow there. And honestly, you guys, I think, I think that's kind of, don't you think that's kind of neat? I mean, just.
I think it's very different for a winter scene.
Well, it's nothing I would think to paint. And he's got all these little bushes up here, these little, let's make some more
Little
white with that.
fuzzies.
Like these little leaf things that are up here like this, and these little tops, and I'm just doing that here, and there was more here, but this sort of purple background, and then where it got nice and dark, right, was like this tree right here, okay, was, see how I put the trees back at the base so that you can see where the trees are?
So you push that snow back in the back where it belongs?
Yeah, put the snow back on the back where it belongs. And this tree's coming off the canvas right there. So, I think that's a fairly fun way to make a cool snow painting. What about you? I think we're about done here. I mean, could we paint a little more? I mean, you can welcome to look up his reference and, you know, add a little bit more. But I think that if you stopped right here, which is where I'm going to stop.
Well, I think it's probably easier for him to add a lot more details. Again, his was like 60, you know, it's a 5-foot painting.
Yeah, it was a much bigger painting, right? So we didn't have the luxury of that larger painting. So
I think we just ran out of that canvas just moments ago.
yeah, there we go. Here's our blue up here like that. Our blue shadows up here, down here like that. Here we go. You can kind of see where we.
Back to the old shadow nose.
Yeah, just. That wasn't there like that. Just lighten that up. There. And I want to make sure that we've got the curve of I feel like we've got the curve of our path now. You can see that. I can kind of see the curve of our path where it comes, and it's not straight, so please don't make it straight. You notice where the snow is all kind of, everything is at an angle as we run this out. Again, this board is very interesting to paint on. We're going to run this path out like that. Going to connect it like that. There we go. So, New Hampshire, I think that's pretty close, right?
Winter in New Hampshire.
Winter in New Hampshire, kind of a simplified version, but
Well, gives you an idea. Something different. It's a different style of painting.
different. Yeah, this isn't something
That's what
that
we're
I
trying to
would
introduce you to.
that I would think about doing a little bit of. He got a little bit more up in here like this with the bushes, but I don't think that we need that. I think I kind of like it just the way it is, but maybe a few more gold ones up here. There, I'll just do a few more gold up here like this. And, okay. I think we're going to call this a finished painting. I hope that, I think you'd feel confident. And you know what doesn't read well at all is this bush back up here.
It kind of looks like a cloud that fell.
It looks like a cloud that fell. So let's, and it doesn't really read well in his either. You know what? But it can go.
Uh-oh.
It can go.
So if you didn't watch this first and you're painting along, now you get to fix it.
Yeah, this doesn't hurt. It can go. It can be, let's get some more white in there, a little bit of pink.
You have to fix all the trees and everything.
No, I don't. I can just.
You're going to be that good, huh?
This is just this can go, man. Let's get a little ultramarine blue in that white. Okay. Yeah, I'll fix the tree. Because I really don't like that at all. And I'd rather fix the tree.
Well, it was there, you know.
Yeah, well, he had it, but it just doesn't, and it needs to be lighter than that. It can't be that dark. Let me dry this and then go back with something light, because that's too dark.
Okay, hold on a second there.
And I'm sorry, but I would end it here, but we gotta
No, you got to fix it up. I got to.
I'd rather just paint the tree out and just get the sky the way I want it, because it's not, it needs to be, well, maybe I don't need to dry it. Let me see if I can do this, John. Let me see
Well, I've
if
got
I
a little
can do this.
30-second spot we can throw in there.
Do you? Well, I'm going to just see if I can't.
Well, you're going to have to dry that so you can put the trees back in.
Yeah, I see what I'm doing. I'm just putting a little bit of a cloud there, which I think looks better. Yeah. And then put that, let's see, hang on, don't go away here. Then we're going to say that there's some, here, this stupid canvas, I'm telling you what, because it's drying, it's just sucking up paint in a way that a normal canvas does not for me.
I don't think we have many more of those to go through. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're...
Hey, we wanted to try them. I mean, they were like $18, $15 each.
Yeah, and then
we
got
them for $3.
Yeah, so we tried them, right?
You know, we're letting you know our opinion on them.
You know, just, not for me. All right, I like the sky where it's kind of sweeping down like that with a little bit of the pink clouds in it, like this, maybe like this. Oh, yeah, that's nice. There we go. I like that better. Maybe the sun's starting to set there.
Well, it's got to be. Look how long the shadows are.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to just say here's some pink clouds up here as long as I'm doing it. Yeah, all right, that makes sense. Sun's starting to set here. Where's the top of the mountains? Here's here. There, I'm going to just put those back. Now I'll dry that and put the trees back, yeah? And I think that looks much better.
All right, we'll be back after this important message from Miss Ginger.
I am never going to paint another vacation photo again. This one looks like crap. I didn't think I could ever learn to paint.
Not every vacation photo makes a great piece of art. Send your photo in to Ginger with personal art coaching before you pick up your brush. And we're back.
All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of the zinc white over that now because it's dry. And lighten that up even a bit more. See that? And I want a little bit of the zinc white back on some of these here. Just a couple places. There you go, something like that. These were a little bright. Now, let's put the let's put these trees back. Okay, that works, yeah. And do a little bit of yellow and white tree, purple and yellow, grays, yellow, grays, purple. And he definitely had a few purple bits in these trees. As long as we're doing it, right?
Well, yeah, let's do it upright.
Yeah, okay, so this, even though that was that dark, let's put something light over that. That's a dark branch. I don't like it. There. All right, I think that will do it. And I guess he made these trees a little purple too. This was interesting. He gave these trees a little bit of a purple.
Well, no wonder why you like the guy so much. He used a lot of purple like you do.
I know, just, yeah, he made these trees a
I guess
little
we have to
purple
look at some more of his paintings.
Yeah, I like the purple, and then he did the gold on the right side. He said it was the gold was the lighter. And this is a trick too. You guys may not know that, but instead of trying to go up the tree, go sideways.
Go around the tree.
Yeah, do it like that. Go sideways if you're trying to do a lighter highlight. see how that worked. Yeah, see, that worked pretty well. All right, there we go. I'm going to sign it, call it, I think we have finished this one. And I hope I hope that, in the comments below, the new year's coming. Let's talk about what your goals and aspirations are for artists for the new year. And some of you just like to watch the videos, and others of you, want more participation. And we'd love to hear from you. What do you want? How do you want to see? What's your goals for the coming year as far as painting? What would you like to do? And perhaps you might be interested in John and I doing a couple meetups, and who knows?
Who knows what the new year will bring?
So your suggestions are always welcome. Bye.
Well, they're encouraged.
And encouraged. And I was going to sign it if I ever found the Posca pens. I'd like to find one place for the Posca pens and do that all the time. If I did that.
Oh my!
I think I'm going to.
We all want something, don't we?
I know. Well,
Isn't it nice to want something?
I'm just going to go ahead and sign it right here.
Where?
Here.
Oh, okay. I thought you could sign on the tree.
There.
Well, I panicked for a second.
All right, there we go. And winter in New Hampshire.
All right.
Huh?
An important message from Ginger's coming up, and then we'll see you guys in the next one. Ladies, thanks for moderating. Participants, thanks for participating. Don't forget to subscribe, give it the old thumbs up, and leave a comment once the show's over and it's recompiled. Tell us what you guys want to do in 2020.
Our schedule's up. We'll be showing on YouTube, and so just check the schedule there.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye, all.
Well, you guys, I don't think I can look at another commercial about how to unstop the toilet, or maybe you two can learn to draw. That we have to have those in our video in order to kind of cover some costs. But I thought it would be fun, as long as we were doing it, to put a commercial in for ourselves. So here's the commercial from me to you. I want you to have a wonderful day. I want you to be the artist you can be. I want you to get up in the morning and say, today's the day I'm going to be happier than I was yesterday. This is my commercial in wishing you the bestest, happiest day of your life. And art hugs from John and I.